There are a lot of issues affecting the 1st Congressional District, and Dimitri Cherny wants to help solve some of those issues. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I sit down with the 1st Congressional District candidate one-on-one. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Dimitri Cherny.
Hey, Quinn.
It's so good to see you.
Yeah, really good to see you, man.
You know, the last time I saw you was back in July. You came here and
That's right, yeah. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, yeah.
I interviewed you right there at Washington Park next to City Hall.
Yeah.
And at the time, you were talking to me about a couple of issues that are affecting 1st Congressional District, that is. And I'm still, I still can't get over this. But this is the headline and really the article for the Post-Courier. It reads this: the Republican race for United States Representative Mark Sanford's seat in Congress got upended Friday when a previous liberal Democrat jumped in the race against him. Dimitri Cherny, a backer of Bernie Sanders for president, challenged his alliance and filed for the 1st Congressional District Republican primary. And you said this in your announcement in the press release, quote, "Cherny gets radical in the Republican primary." Why are you getting radical?
Well, okay, so I ran in 2016. I ran in 2014.
Right.
In 2016, I ended up raising a fraction of the dollars that everybody, all the other Democratic candidates around the state had raised. I raised $28,000 and spent $28,000. I did that biking the low country thing. So it was a completely non-standard, radical, if you will, campaign. And yet I had more votes as a Democratic Congress candidate here than anybody in the 1st Congressional District has ever gotten for Congress, for that seat. I also got more votes than any of the other candidates around the state. Some of them who had raised, like Fran Person, had raised more than $700,000 and spent $700,000. I spent $28,000. He spent $700,000. I got more votes than he got. And here's the most interesting thing. Okay. I lost by 70,000 votes. Bobby Rose was the last candidate to run in this district, also lost by 70,000 votes. Every other candidate, Democratic candidate in every other district in South Carolina also lost by at least 70,000 votes. What does that say to you? Gerrymander. Can you use one word, in one word, Quentin? Gerrymander. So I proved the district is gerrymandered. It doesn't matter how much money you raise. As Fran Person proved, $700,000 he spent, and he still lost. So there's no way around it. So I thought, well, how can I get around this? And then I realized we have open primaries. Right. And open primaries were actually created in the mid-'60s in response to the Civil Rights Act, because the legislators up in South Carolina were concerned that the Democrats, and we know what we're talking about Democrats, might get too much power, and so that way they could actually run fake candidates, and all of the normal people could vote in the Democratic races to get in the candidates that they want instead. So that's what open primaries were built for, control of radical parties, if you will. Nobody's ever used it the other way around, which is you can go in and run against the main candidates. Right. As long as you can bring enough of your voters, because they're open primaries, you don't have to bring Republican voters into the Republican primary. You can bring Democratic voters. You can bring independent voters. You can bring non-voters, people that have never voted before, into the primary. And as long as you get more votes than the other candidates there, you win.
That brings me to my next question. You also said this in this particular press release, quote, "Third-time congressional candidate and Bernie supporter Dimitri Cherny is confirming his radical reputation by entering the open primary for the 1st Congressional District seat of South Carolina on the Republican ballot to face incumbent Mark Sanford." Reputation. What will your reputation look like now that you're running as a Republican?
I'm not running as a Republican. I'm running as an American in the Republican primary.
How do you tell that to the voters?
I just told it to the voter. I just told it to voters. I'm not running as a Republican. I'm not even running as a fake Republican. I'm not pretending I'm a Republican. I'm not a Republican. It's an open primary. You pay your $3,480 and anybody can run in either one of those races. It doesn't matter. There's no loyalty agreements here in South Carolina. You don't have to sign up for the Republican Party to do it. All you have to do is sign up and agree that if you don't win, you won't run in another race. That's the only thing you sign up for when you pay your $3,480. So now I paid that $3,480 to be on the ballot on Tuesday, June 12th. I'm going to be on the ballot, and it's up to me to bring in enough voters that I can win.
Let me ask it another way. Who's Dimitri Cherny now, after you filed to run again for the 1st Congressional District?
I'm the same guy. I'm the same radical I was last year. I'm the same guy who wants universal health care. I'm in big support of Bernie's Medicare for All plan. I'm the same guy who wants improved Social Security. I'm the same guy who wants a better educational program here in America. I'm the same guy who wants better veteran support. I'm the same guy who wants to get big money out of politics. I'm the same guy who's really concerned about wealth and income inequality. And I'm the same guy who's really concerned about climate change and rising seas. And what are we going to do here in 20 years when twice a day the whole city's flooded? I'm the same guy.
And any other issues that still stick in your mind about Congress and the issues affecting 1st Congressional District in your mind?
Those are my big ones. And that's what I'm doing this year. I'm running on those 7 issues right there. And I'm not going to talk about all the other little stuff that's out there. I mean, the frustration is like Mark Sanford just proposed a bill that makes it public what bonuses public employees, federal employees get. So we have people dying because they don't have health insurance. We have the greatest wealth inequality that we've seen in 100 years, maybe if ever. And all of these problems, climate change, and what does Mark Sanford do? Proposes a bill to make public the bonuses of federal employees. What was the bill he proposed before that? Something about being able to share time on private jets? Are those things that affect your life or affect my life? No, they don't. And that's what our congressman is actually working on in Washington. And that's what all of those people in Washington are working on. Just a bunch of crap that doesn't affect any of us. We got big problems. We got civilization-threatening problems going on here. And nobody in Washington is even talking about it.
And when I interviewed Katie Arrington, your obviously opponent for this particular race as well, she basically says, hey, Sanford is a career politician. He's been here since 1994. Mm-hmm. When you hear that, what do you say?
Yeah, it's true. He has been, yeah. And all the time I've been doing all sorts of crazy things out there. My life's been up and down. And yeah, he's just been doing that same job the whole time. So, yeah.
Wow. Let me get back to, and this is actually the headline from the state newspaper, former Democratic nominee running for the same seat this time as a Republican. But I want to go into the particular article because it says this. In the release, Cherny said he made the switch because, quote, the power of gerrymandering made running as a Democrat too difficult. You just talked about that. But tell me, what is the future of this gerrymandering in your mind?
Well, we have to get a majority in the House here in South Carolina, the House and the Senate in South Carolina, and when they redistrict after the next census in 2020, it's the state legislature that actually draws up the districts. If we don't have a majority of people in there that want to draw up new districts, unless it's going to be federally mandated, they won't be redrawn, and they will still be unfair districts. And as long as open primaries are still available to us, and who knows, if I actually win this thing, it may be that the legislature in Columbia decides, you know what, maybe it's the time for open primaries to go away, you know, because suddenly somebody's used it against us finally. So, yeah, if we don't get gerrymandering fixed, nothing's going to change in Washington because too many states around are gerrymandered. So.
And I know you garnered a lot of headlines according to state newspaper just in the recent times because of the Planet B solution you have.
Yeah.
Is that still on the table?
Well, it's one of my things. And here's the thing. They want to make me sound like a kook. And if you just said, yeah, oh, this guy wants to go off to another planet, find another planet, you might go, okay. But, you know, Elon Musk is saying exactly the same thing. And he's got billions of dollars behind him. He now has a spacecraft that can actually go to Mars. He's planning on landing people in Mars in the next 4 years. Is it crazy? I don't know. But the reason I came up with it was because of three reasons. Number one, we do stand a threat of total annihilation of the planet from asteroids that are coming in. And it's a serious concern in NASA. They say the probability of it is low, but you know, every few weeks or so, a asteroid or maybe a comet or something flies by and they go, whoa, didn't see that one coming. And maybe it wouldn't have been big enough to destroy all of civilization, but it probably would have been big enough to wipe out Charleston or New York or whatever, some big city. And we need some protection against that kind of thing. And right now, there's just not enough funding out there to do that. Number two, we have an over-militarization. We have basically about $1 trillion a year budget for military. Is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know. But if we wanted to dial that down, which we can only do once we've actually decreased the threat level around the world. I mean, right now, our president is not making things easy, and all the other countries are getting kind of concerned. So everybody's threat level is kind of going up. But in the future sometime, maybe if we can get that threat level down, we all agree, no, we're not going to nuke each other. Nobody wants new territories and things like that. We need to repurpose that $1 trillion a year of federal defense spending for some peaceful means. Well, what would be better than space travel? I mean, we could actually repurpose Lockheed, Northrop Grumman, Boeing, all of these guys out of military, creating military weapons, and for producing space vehicles. So that's the second thing it does. And the third thing it does is it kind of gives us all a goal. I mean, I talk to so many young people who go, you know, I just got out of college, I got $50,000 in debt, now I got a job that I really don't like, and I got an apartment, and I can barely hold it all together. And is this it? I mean, is my life just all about going to work, paying bills, and then dying? People want to have a goal. They want to have something to do. You're fortunate. You got this. You're what are you, 1,000 now? 1,000
interviews.
Yeah. So you get 1,000 interviews. You have a goal in life. So many people don't. And you're lucky you kind of found what you're good at. I found what I'm good at, too. I'm an excellent product manager in high tech. But this is really my passion. Doing this stuff that I don't want to leave this planet before I've helped to make things better. You know, when I was a kid, I was a hiker, backpacker, and camper and stuff. One of the rules was leave nothing but footprints behind. Unfortunately, we have not. Your generation is guilt-free. You're a young man. I'm 57 years old. My generation, the boomers, the baby boomers that are ahead of me, I'm right at the tail end of the baby boomers, we screwed it up for everybody else. We got greedy, and we put profit before people. We need to put people before profit again. And that's basically my goal of why I'm running for Congress. We need to fix things for the next generation. When you have kids, the good Lord willing, little Quintin's running around. That'd be so cute.
We'll see.
I want to make sure they have a good planet to live on. That they can have a decent life. And the way things are going now with climate change, if we don't get off of carbon fuels here in the next 5 years, there's no possible future for them. I mean, everybody's being very quiet about it because they don't see a way out, but there are ways out. And it's just a matter of, at this point, regulations that say there's no more fossil fuels, we're going to go to biofuels instead. We're going to grow all of our oil from algae or other non-food crops. Okay. And we're just going to put that oil through the same refineries, we're going to put it through the same pipelines, it's still going to come out at Exxon and all of the other gas stations, you're still going to pump it into your car exactly the same way. The price may actually be cheaper because now you don't have to send guys out in the middle of the ocean to extract oil, and there's not all that investment. You're just growing oil in these big farms, these ponds in Louisiana or wherever these ponds may be. So the price of oil could probably go down. But why aren't we doing that? Because there are greedy people out there that are making billions of dollars off of it the way it is right now. And that's the problem. That's why I want to go to Washington. We need to fix that.
And another issue is going on right now that a lot of people have said no to, and you talk about Charleston and protection, is offshore drilling. Yeah. Where are you with this discussion?
It's crazy. I mean, oil being drilled out of the ground is 20th century technology. It's 19th century technology. And we all know every additional ton of carbon dioxide going in the atmosphere is just putting another nail in the coffin of civilization. And yet people are doing that because they're making lots of money on it. And I honestly, I don't understand the logic of these people. How can they think this isn't going to affect their grandchildren? What do they think? I have no idea, no idea. But I will fight these. I'm just going to use the B word, but I think we're on public television here.
Are you on the web? You can
yeah, so this is why I'm going to Washington. This is why I want to do this.
And you know, when I interviewed you for Quintin School Subs 2 years ago, you had a very compelling story, an emotional story to tell. Can you share that again, please?
But my experience?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah. So I had this long career in the high-tech industry. It was up and down. I've always been a radical when I kind of review it. You know, it's got the advantage of getting older is you can kind of look back and see the patterns in your own life. And I recognize, especially this last year, that I get squirrely. You know, if I'm someplace longer than a couple of years, I'm like, I need something else. I got to go do something else. And sometimes I've self-sabotaged myself, so I go do something else instead. But anyways, I had a really good career for a number of years, making six-figure incomes for a number of years. Okay. Built a big house on the seacoast and lost it all after the Great Recession. And my marriage failed and lost all of my savings, which was considerable because I was trying to save everything that I had, and ended up homeless for a couple of months, living out of my car in California, hoping I was going to get a call back for a job out there. Didn't, and eventually saw an ad for truck driving school. And literally that day, I was going to make a sign and beg at the bottom of the exit ramp. And saw this ad on Monster.com for truck driving school instead. And I look up, I said, "This is it, huh? You want me to be a truck driver, huh?" I'm like, what? Why? But, you know, truck driving has led me here. Mm-hmm. And it's gotten me back to South Carolina. I've been in South Carolina before that. And it gave me the opportunity to learn about economics and about U.S. history while I was driving trucks. For basically 4 years. I did a year and a half over the road, and then I did 2 years, 2.5 years here in Charleston out of the ports. Right. And that whole time, I never once turned on the radio. I listened to podcasts and audiobooks, and I studied history and economics, pretty much, and learned that our economic system doesn't have to work the way it is right now. This whole thing where you're putting profits above people or money above people, it doesn't have to be that. We can do it the other way around. And so the system that we're living within right now can be completely different, and all we have to do is get enough good people into Congress, and we can change it all. So ever since I learned that in 2011, I've been an evangelist for this economics, and decided to run in 2014, thinking, I'll be a bully pulpit so I can kind of get my ideas out there and talk to people. And then doing that, I fell in with a bad crowd. I think that's when I first met you, too. Right. A bunch of social justice warriors and a lot of people that were doing a lot of things. And, you know, as a white guy growing up in New England, I had no idea what it was like to grow up as a black guy in South Carolina. And I have so many friends now who have explained it to me. And I'm there. I mean, I understand it. I probably as best as you can, not having gone through it myself. And I just think it's not fair. Yeah, it's just, you know, the way our society is set up, so that people that aren't born with the advantages. Yeah, I think we can fix that.
Dimitri Cherny, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Thanks, Quintin.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Anytime. Oh. Thank you. Right. Yeah, hope to do another interview with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.